This chart shows Finland's forecasted youth unemployment rates from 2024 through 2026. The numbers hover consistently around 8.5%. Despite economic fluctuations, that line stays flat. Finland operates one of the most robust, well-funded welfare states in the world. Yet this historic institution continually struggles to solve the human and economic crisis of young people falling out of the workforce. The friction comes down to how public money actually moves. The state is locked into rigid 12-month budget cycles. If a politician or official approves an expensive, intensive intervention for a teenager today, the financial rewards, like lifelong tax revenues and reduced healthcare costs, won't show up for 10 or 20 years. And when those savings do materialize, they usually land in an entirely department's ledger. Because the immediate costs are clear, but the long-term rewards are disconnected, the system is forced into a reactive posture. It waits for a crisis to occur, and then distributes standardized benefits to manage the damage, rather than intervening early to prevent a young person from slipping through the cracks in the first place. Being out of work at a young age is a deep psychological crisis. It steadily erodes a person's identity and their belief that they can control their own life. Psychologists who study motivation point to self-determination theory. It argues that for human beings to thrive, we need three things: a sense of competence, a feeling of connection to others, and autonomy, the belief that we are directing our own choices. But the traditional welfare system often relies on mandatory activation measures. When a young person is forced to prove they are searching for jobs under the constant threat of benefit cuts, their autonomy is stripped away. Job hunting turns from a personal goal into a hostile, anxiety-inducing obligation. The very system designed to support these individuals ends up deepening the psychological barriers keeping them out of the workforce. To fix this mismatch between short-term budgets and long-term human needs, economists have engineered a mechanism called the social impact bond. Here, private investors fund preventative work. The state pays them back if long-term outcomes are achieved, like holding a steady job. By absorbing financial risk, the market lets the state try what works. Social workers act as flexible companions, free from bureaucratic deadlines. We have concrete data showing this works. In the city of Tampere, the Norrit SIB program focused on youths leaving Ostercare. By funding intensive, personalized support, over half of the participants have either graduated or are studying for their secondary degrees, which is a massive improvement over historical baselines. Aligning private capital with long-term social outcomes is effective. But bringing free market dynamics into social welfare exposes a critical flaw in how we measure success. When contracts are based entirely on performance, they often trigger a phenomenon known in economics as creaming and parking. If investors are paid purely for the total number of successful outcomes, the rational market response is to cherry-pick the easiest, most capable youths to guarantee a rapid return on their investment. That leaves the most complex cases, young people dealing with addiction, homelessness, or severe depression, completely ignored. They are simply parked on the sidelines because helping them takes too much time and cuts into the profit margin. To correct this market failure, we need a way to accurately value the difficulty of the work. This is where artificial intelligence steps in as an impartial, mathematical referee. This matrix uses AI to analyze datasets, calculating risk-adjusted payments. By scoring a case's starting difficulty, it multiplies the reward for solving the toughest challenges. When the hardest cases become the most profitable, incentives flip. Profit is redirected to serve those who need help most. We are watching a transition from a reactive system that hands out standardized benefits to a proactive, data-driven precision welfare state. For a young person isolated by anxiety or shame, walking into a physical government office is often an impossible hurdle. AI acts as a psychological bridge, offering low-threshold, anonymous digital chatbots that allow them to ask for help on their own terms. The ecosystem divides the labor. AI handles the predictive data crunching and risk analysis, reducing the administrative load that usually consumes a social worker's time. This efficiency allows human workers to focus entirely on building the psychological safety and connection necessary for a young person's recovery. But there is a deep irony in this transition. The exact same AI technology we use to rescue youths from marginalization is simultaneously automating away the entry-level jobs they traditionally relied on to enter the workforce. And the predictive models themselves carry severe risks. If algorithms are trained on biased historical data, relying on zip codes or parental employment status to assess risk, we could end up deterministically labeling children as hopeless before they even get a chance to try. Because this data is so incredibly sensitive, its ownership and oversight cannot be left entirely to global investors. It requires rigid transparency and strong democratic regulation to ensure the algorithms serve social justice rather than purely corporate efficiency. Ending the cycle of youth marginalization requires combining AI's objective data, private capital's risk tolerance, and the irreplaceable power of human connection.